What's going on, y'all? Good day, good after zenith, high noon, good evening, wherever this might reach you. Today's subject matter is revolving around the subject of subjects, relationships. How's he gonna work? How is she gonna work? I don't know if I wanna be in a relationship. I have my barrier up. I'm just gonna play shorty. Keep it on the low though. Be my side chick. And the likes. It's a lot of decisions to be made. It comes with being an adult, so we say here. Many of women and men had to be adults before the so-called age of 18. The reality is when you're dealing with relationships, different energies, different vibrations, people on different frequencies and from different backgrounds, people with ideas, stereotypes in their mind, stigmas about you in their mind, people who unfortunately don't have the time to look as deep as they would if they could. People who dive in sex first usually stop short along the lines of any given relationship. Today we want to touch on a few things relationship related. Hopefully that'll create in you all the mentality necessary to have greater meaning within your relationships, whether they're intimate, sensual, relative, related, or not. So, firstly, when considering the opposite sex in your life, you have to consider who you are and who you are not. These are adamant responsibilities upon the individual if the two people are to bond and bond successfully, which means we need to ask questions. We need to ask each other questions. If we're not asking each other questions, the platform already is telling you this might not be him, this might not be her. Why? Because no one is trying to find out about the other person. Never mind English on a sidebar. Never mind the language. Always intake the energy. Words are meant to conceal. Therefore, you're looking at what's not being said when you're approaching a relationship and in the beginning stages, the courting stages. So you need questions, because if there's no questions, there's no interest. And if there's no interest, then what is this really about? That should be your question to yourself. Does he have an ulterior motive? Does she have an ulterior motive? And we have to kind of allow ourselves to meet others where we are. So if you're into medical everything, you're going to find others into the medical everything, quote unquote, and thereby your medical aspirations is met with another person with medical aspirations, and you two will likely meet within a medical institution someplace, whether it's school or the actuality of a job or internship before that. Be mindful. Who you are is what you'll emanate. What you're sowing is what you'll be reaping back to yourself. So if you're wondering why Mr. Such and Such is such and such, it's because Mrs. Such and Such is actually such and such, and seemingly he feels, if not by what you show on the surface, that it could be a match, whereas who you are inside is only for he or she who cares to dig deeper to find out. Be very mindful. If there's no digging, then we don't have any real intention. We have a person who, unfortunately, they take what's at surface and their agenda to heart, and this is what they begin to apply. You have to be very mindful when in those beginning stages, because we really don't know what anybody's up to. Whether you want to go out on a date, whether you want to have an at-home dinner positively, which is always a good sign if you can invite the other over and even have a family member over, set up a spades night, dominoes night. These are great platforms to see people and let your people see those people. When that happens, you're able to get an objective, not just from yourself, but from others. And likewise, if he or she is on the same level plane, they too will have theirs around them, because if you're important people should be around them, and those people will want to meet you and have an impactful greeting with you initially. So moving forward, we're in the courting stage. We're looking to pretty much see all that we can see and see all that's offered. If in fact you're in the courting stage, but your courting was allowed because he or she been winking at you for weeks, or dropping letters, had a friend tell a friend that knew you were the friend of, get the message to you, be mindful. We're still around an area where vulnerability and gullibility will lead you into a hardship that might make Peter pay for Paul or Jessica pay for Jane. And when people are paying for other people who shortchanged you, it's not fair. And you have to always keep in mind that it can't just be her and it can't just be him. It has to be us. It takes two. It takes an agreement. It takes someone to be willfully willing to be led or willfully willing to stage themselves within an agreement. And once you stage yourself within that agreement and the contract is breached, then we have nothing to expect from one another. And there's a lot of heart, a lot of soul, a lot of emotions, a lot of right brain hemisphere happening during this stage. Ultimately, in order to gain, vulnerability is necessary. In order for you to see yourself as your best self, you will have to endure. There will be obstacles. No relationship can stand without somewhat of a foundation. There needs to be a storyline there. And for those who have made it past 5 years with a man, 10 years with a woman, they have that storyline. And for those who are wise and see that they've been together for quite some time, they will inquire and ponder. Couples who are together have great energy and they have love, and they have love to emanate, depending on who you are, where you are, how you were raised, and how you think. But love is universal. Love doesn't have a color. Love doesn't have a texture. Love is an energy, and it's the energy force capable, as we know, capable of turning an enemy into a friend. It's a life force. It's that which makes what's hardened, softened. Love. But in order to emanate it, you have to have it. And if you have it, but with fear, it's not pure. If you have that love, but with reserve, it's not pure. As long as your intentions are in respect to the person you're addressing, whether it's a friend, whether it's your mother, whether it's a teacher, whether it's an employer, whether it's a stranger, there is a specific way to employ yourself to people in respect with love, not making yourself compromisable or stating that you're available for anything. Be mindful of that. We need knowledge of self first and foremost before we can take on another spirit, another soul, another entity, and in reality, be good for them. There's basics. You have to question yourself first and foremost. What are you looking for in a relationship? Are you looking to see where it goes, which is pretty much having your feet somewhat on the brakes, which never helps? We need acceleration. We need gas. We need intelligent people to step into that realm of love confidently. We need people healed from that which keeps them out of that realm. And once we have those people within that realm, we see the multiplication of children and the decline of imprisonment, the decline of so-called divorce, the decline of that child next door and his mother, or that child next door and their parents, are so on and so forth. We keep the eye on us. We don't have time considering any other communities. I'm not looking to entertain Wall Street. When it's Wall Street time, we'll touch Wall Street. Right now, we're touching one another. This is not a sing-along. We have to understand many of men have sat in the very seat I am and have said the very same things. People have heard it, they applaud, they donated, and after the fact, back to their lives. We call it being drunk on the gospel. You was wheezy on the words. Wow, that brother. But the true brother wants no praise. He's very humble. She's very humble with regards to matters of the heart, matters of the soul. So I take very much into consideration the masses that may be before me at this point, viewing that if in fact perchance the heart is softened and can receive this seed, then in fact it might abate change. Clearly leave comments, leave concerns with regards to what I've said, because I want to hear it. Add to the conversation. Let us grow. Let us be mindful of the beginning stages in all stages. Today we touch courting. Tomorrow we'll touch the actual sustenance of the relationship and how to maintain day one and what to expect day one.